The most intriguing creature on the face of the earth is the human being. And one of the things we need to be aware about the human being is that we're supposed to live to the fullness of our greatness from the get-go. That is the intention of our creation. I don't think we can come on the face of the earth just to be cheap and average. I think that the very reason as to why we were sent here is so that we can exude the goodness, the farthest of our greatness, the most exuding personal glory that we can master. Because the seeds are there, the potential is there, the intention is there, the capacity is there. But the question is, do we get there? In these episodes, I'm discussing that topic of personal glory, but I'm zeroing in over the past 4 or so episodes, I'm zeroing in on the men, the males. How can we as men come to exude the level of our personal glory? What are some of the things we can do? Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
What do you see when you see a man of valor? What do you see when you see a man of renown, a man of greatness, a man who has exuded his personal glory, or who is living in his personal glory, who is living his greatness? What do you see? If you're a woman, what do you see in there? There are very many books that have been written on manhood, and I think one of the best books I've ever read on manhood is a book called Tender Warrior, and gotta go and get it. But the thing about men and greatness is that the possibility is there, the seeds are there, but the potential is there. But getting to that level of our greatness has always been a mighty challenge. And so we see the areas where we are supposed to stand, the offices we're supposed to occupy, the functions we're supposed to have, the authority we're supposed to exude, the work we're supposed to do, the things we're supposed to govern, the adventures we're supposed to go, the protection we're supposed to offer, the safety we're supposed to provide, the certainty we're supposed to bring on the face of the earth. Even in and of ourselves, even trying to do those things for ourselves is something that is maybe far-reaching. It looks like it's far-reaching. Looks like, we've been handed down a life that is making as many men as possible to be wimpy, and men who are not great, and men who are having a cheap description of who they're supposed to be. And so greatness is at the end of the day is suffering. The glory of the man is fading. The glory of the male man is fading. Let me tell you, in 4 episodes ago, I did not say that I am doing this and I'm saying this because I am there. Actually, I said this, that I nearly skipped doing this series because I knew I am deficient in and of myself. I am deficient of the things that I am sharing. Probably I'm not the most qualified guy to talk about men of renown. But the thing is, it has come into my spirit, and one of the things I normally tell people is that whatever has come to your spirit, whether it's an idea, whether it's something to do with passion, whether it's a value, it's a principle, if it has come to your spirit, even if you do not have the physical embodiment of the same thing, it does not mean that you're disqualified from it. It means it's something worth bothering about. And probably, maybe, I don't know if there is another man out there who is talking about such like stuff. About men of glory, men of valor, men of grandeur, men of greatness. I don't know if there is somebody out there who is talking about such like stuff. But I know that I am not there. I know if there is a man who has failed, you're looking or you're listening to one. But that does not negate the fact that we gotta talk about these things. Let me tell you something, by the way. I realized one thing. I realized that men don't talk about this, and that's why there is lack of greatness. You know how I realized this? I realized this because the moment I started talking about this, that's the moment that the possibilities just started opening up. And my heart just started being broken down, and I just started feeling heaviness about this subject. I just started seeing how far I can go and how far I am from accomplishing that which I'm supposed to accomplish as a man in this world. My point is that the more the conversations are going to go on concerning this subject, the more the men are going to be aware, the more clarity is going to come, the more the seeds of greatness are going to be, fanned aflame. The sparks of greatness are going to be fanned aflame. And the more we start gravitating towards the greatness, the fullness of our personal glory that we were intended to have and to be in the first place. So, yes, I am disqualified from being the kind of man, but that doesn't mean that I am dead, I am still alive, I can yet be. Let me tell you, one day of living your full grandeur, one day of living your full greatness, your full personal glory, your majesty, your kingship. One day of doing that is much, much better than 100 years of not. That's why David, one of the greatest guys in the Bible, he says that better is one day in God's presence than 1,000 days elsewhere. And I can extrapolate that to say this: it is better to live the fullness of the glory of you as a man and your majesty even for a day than to not do that for the rest of your lives. So it's not late. That's the point. It's not late for us to get started. We get started by talking about these things. We get started by starting to ask ourselves questions. The way I'm existing in this life today, the way I'm appearing today, is my mama great? Is my mama grateful? Is my mama happy? Is this world wowed by my grandiose, by my majesty? Is my wife wowed by my majesty and my grandiose? Are my kids, happy that there's a great man in the house? Or am I a wimpy guy? See, I've got to talk to this. I've got to talk to myself about these things until such a time that I'm gravitating all along towards the fullness of the greater, of the measure of my stature and my majesty as I was intended to in the first place. Yesterday we said that the first thing you gotta do as a man is to be God-fearing. I know it sounds religious and so on, and it is religious, it is spiritual. You can never run away from spirituality as a man and you think you're gonna be great. Never, never. Let me tell you, these men that we watch, the men of greatness, especially in war and so on, you know what sends them there? Spirituality. It is the spirit, courageousness, fearlessness, dying for a cause. That is a spiritual thing. And therefore a man who is going to be a great man is going to be a man who is God-fearing, acknowledging that he is not God, acknowledging that he's got to be accountable, acknowledging that he's got to be humble. That's why the man wrote a book called Tender Warrior. You are tender, yes, but you are a warrior. God-fearing doesn't mean you're wimpy and you're spending 24 hours, 7 days a week in church. It doesn't mean that you are running away from adventure and running away from making things happen, running away from the things that you're called to do. It doesn't mean that you're wimpy and you're docile and you're hapless and helpless and harmless. It doesn't mean you're harmless in any way. In fact, it means that let me tell you, the God-fearing guys, there are many God-fearing guys who took people's heads off, who dare to mess around with, number one, their God, and number two, their families and their country. I'm going to get into trouble with that. But anyway, the first thing is that you gotta be God fearing. You gotta know that there's someone, a higher power that you're accountable to, which is God, and you are, in fact, the accountability means that you have responsibility, and you've got to answer back to them. And when you answer back to them, that's when the greatness starts growing up on you, and so on and so forth. But today, I want us to look at one more thing that a man of greatness is going to have. Let me tell you, it is as easy and as simple as it comes, but do we do this? But a man of greatness, a man who is going to live to his personal glory, to his majesty, is a man who is knowledgeable. Listen carefully. When we talk about knowledgeable, we are not talking about education. We're not talking about academics. We're talking about relevant knowledge. The word darkness, as used in the Bible, is not about night and day. The word darkness, as used in the Bible, it's about ignorance. Ignorance. So to the degree that you are ignorant of who you are as a man, to the degree that you're ignorant of who you are in your greatness and in your majesty, to that degree will you not live up to your standards, the fullness of your standards as a man. When they say the devil is the prince of darkness, it means that he will dominate you to the extent that you are ignorant of who you are, where you come from, what you can do, what is your capacity, what the intention of the divine is upon you. If you're ignorant of that stuff as a man, let me tell you, you're not going to live to your greatness. A great man has thorough knowledge of his mandate. I'll ever go back there. He has a thorough knowledge about his mandate, both just, nominal mandate. There's this what you call nominal mandate, where you're a man, you are a husband, and you're a father. The nominal mandate, you're supposed to take care of your wife, supposed to take care of your kids, supposed to clothe them, protect them, and nurture them, and show them vision, and lead them, and guide them, and so on. That's nominal. Okay? But if you are not aware that you're supposed to do that, guess what? You start dwindling in the greatness and in your majesty, in your functionality in there. That's why we have very many absentee fathers, and there are very many absentee fathers who are even present in their homes, but they're absent. Let me tell you, these things are as deep and as vulnerable as possible, and I'm going to talk about them until I can face them in the mirror. The greatest knowledge that we men must have is the knowledge of why we were created in the first place. Why were we created as men? Why are we men? Have you ever suffered so much that you wanted to be a woman? I don't know about it, but for me, I have never. But I think at some point in time, I've questioned my existence, and I've asked God, why am I here? Was it possible? Was it necessary for me to be born? You suffer to such an extent. But you see, there's an answer to that question, that there's a reason as to why the man is here. There's a reason as to why me and you as a man, we are existing on the face of the earth. And the reason is purpose. Purpose is connected to our identity, even connected to our profile as a gender, by the way. Gender, male, female. There's a reason. Purpose is connected to gender in one way or another. Some semblance of purpose, it is in there. We need to figure out our God given purpose. And I dare say that such knowledge is even greater than any degree you can ever gather from anywhere. In fact, I've been sharing on Facebook talking about the greatest degree, the most important degree you can have in life is the degree in yourself, the degree of your purpose, the degree of your identity, the degree of your capacity, the degree of your potential. If you graduate, you have a master's degree in yourself. It's not about being selfish. It is about clarity, knowledge of yourself, knowledge of, you have awareness of who you are, awareness of whom you have been called to be. Awareness of the things that you're supposed to do, knowledge of your purpose as a man. They say such knowledge is greater than any academic paper you ever get. And if we will just know what authority as men that God has given us as husbands, I think our wives, our children, and the society will revel in the greatness of our majesty. This greatness of our majesty is not about, competition. It's not about ourselves. It's not selfish. It's not about pride. No, it is not. It is a selfless kind of a thing. It's like, oh, thank goodness Lawrence was born. Thank goodness he is alive. Thank goodness he's on the face of the earth. What will the world do without him? And I know that sounds blasphemous, but why will God create a Lawrence if the world cannot exclaim and say, why? What will they do without him? That knowledge is important to the male. That knowledge is important to us. So we need to know where we're coming from. We need to have that knowledge, that information, all right? And we start building our lives around that information. Our functionality as men, as husbands, as fathers, as brothers, as grandfathers, as uncles. There's so much I can share, but I want to go into the negatives. I want to go into the negatives that talk about men, pastors taking advantage of women that they're supposed to be nurturing, uncles taking advantage of their nieces, fathers taking advantage of their daughters, grandfathers taking advantage of their grandchildren. I don't want to go into those negatives, but I'm talking about the fullness of the extent of the majesty of a man, their personal glory. Number 2, they should have knowledge of their purpose. Tomorrow we'll share something else. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.